retirement portion. And Connie, 35 years is a long time, as you know. And I believe you've always done your best for our students in whatever capacity that was. Teacher, advisor of the One Act play, the yearbook, the forensics advisor, student council advisor, the several musicals you and Jean both directed. You've definitely earned your retirement. I wish you nothing but the best and good health. You raised 3 talented, successful young men as well. Just wish you nothing but good health and happiness, and you and your family in the future. Thank you for your great service to the School District Colfax. Say a few words.
I would. I've watched 35 years of speeches or listened to them, so now it's my turn. And I'm so glad Dr. Bierquist is here. So here we go. Even though it was 35 years ago, I still remember the day I was hired by Dr. Bierquist very clearly. As I sat in his office and signed my contract, I remember he said 2 things to me. The first was a directive. He looked at me in the eye. You might have even pointed your finger, Lee, I don't know. He said, I want you to eat, breathe, and sleep English. If you remember, Lee could be pretty intimidating back in the day, especially to a 22-year-old like me, so I listened. For 35 years, I've made not just English, but teaching my world. That means that I've recognized that English is not everyone's favorite subject, but it's a required class. So I have tried to make my classroom one that is practical and engaging. I also know that school in general needs to be a fun place if kids are going to want to come to each day and learn. So I took on advising jobs over the years to give kids the extra opportunities that help make school enjoyable. I'll be the first to admit I have not been a perfect teacher, and I've gone through various seasons of my career, as we all do, but I've always tried to be professional and do my best for my students. The second thing I remember from that day is a piece of Lee's advice. He warned me that this was a small town, and there was not much for a young person to do in it, so he encouraged me not to live in Colfax, but instead to live in Eau Claire. I know he meant well with me, but fortunately, I didn't follow it. And to quote Robert Frost, that has made all the difference. You see, Colfax has become home for Jean and me. We've now lived here longer than either of us have ever lived anywhere else, and we chose to live very close to the school. So close, in fact, that one night during our busy musical season, we didn't have rehearsal. I came home from school, but Drew, who was in elementary at the time, didn't. So I called Jan at the school and I asked her to page him and send him home. Within minutes, Drew burst into the house and said, I have to go over to school. Jan just paged me. When I asked him, where were you? He told me he had been an attorney in our backyard where I couldn't see him, yet he could hear Jan's page. That's close. I would still hear those passing bells every single day of my retirement. Living in this village has brought us a Colfax family that we would not trade for the world. That family has been with us through a lot of good times and some bad. They've rocked our babies, Hindenburg included, helped us move, roofed our houses, attended our parents' funerals, worshipped with us, and so much more. We've become invested in Colfax in a way we wouldn't have believed possible so long ago. I'm not judging anyone who chooses to or cannot live in our district, but I truly believe that for me, it has made all the difference in making my job so enjoyable all these years. While I appreciate Lee's words of wisdom, I also learned a lot through trial and error and life experiences throughout my career. Some of my best lessons came from parenting. I'm sad that my boys are not here tonight to celebrate with us, but because of what the many caring teachers, coaches, counselors, and advisors did for them over the years, they have spread their wings, and I'm so proud of them. I remember when Reed was in Mrs. Jensen's kindergarten class, and she walked him to recess for weeks because he wasn't until he was brave enough to face the big kids, the second graders, on the playground. Then Mrs. Zutter gave him opportunities that developed his confidence and skills to succeed in the business world today. Grady, is another story. I once walked home from lunch to find a junior kindergartner urinating on the outside wall of the school. As I got closer to that 4-year-old, I realized it was my 4-year-old. That was the beginning of his school career, and he put us all through our paces after that. He had me in Mr. Dockle's office more than once, but through his mistakes, he developed the tenacity and character to pursue a career in the military, and I learned a very important lesson as a teacher. A good kid can make mistakes. That good kid is now an officer in the Navy who will begin flight school next week. Finally, there's Drew, who has nothing but good things to say about Mrs. Steinke and Mrs. Seston, who helped him develop the work ethic and the math skills that he now uses as a financial advisor. I hesitate to even name people because there are so many others from elementary through high school that influenced our kids. It has humbled me to realize that it truly does take a village to raise all of our children. Because of that, I do think that it is important that we all remember we are part of that village, whether we live in Colfax or not. Every student who comes to our Colfax schools is someone's child, and that child will grow up and become successful if given a chance. The trait that might drive us the craziest as a teacher could be that very trait that brings them their success. Kids do make mistakes, my own included, and they need to be held accountable, but they can also learn from those mistakes and do better the next time. They are kids after all. I guess if I was giving advice to a 22-year-old teacher today, that's what mine would be. Before I close, I just want to say thank you. Thank you to all of the people I've worked with and for over the years. Colfax is truly a special place, and many of you have become a part of our family. Finally, I would be remiss if I did not thank my husband, who has been my rock through this crazy ride. I would have never made it without him and his willingness to help me with whatever I needed. Mary Lynn Brennan once said, you know, the school is really getting a 2-for-1 deal with you and Jean. And it's very true. He has chaperoned several trips to state forensics. He's let me run lesson plans past him. He's worked with me to put on musicals, helped me decorate for homecoming dances, and he makes my lunch every day. Whatever I asked of him, he did, and he usually did it with a smile, so thank you, Jean. It is very difficult for me to walk away from teaching, but I feel it's the right time. There's a season for everything, and I'm looking forward to the next one for me. To quote Dr. Henry Cloud from the book Necessary Endings, the endings and the great new beginnings are somehow linked together. You can't have one without the other. I keep repeating his words to myself these last couple of weeks since I made my decision. I've done my part, I have faith, and I have to believe that tomorrow will take care of itself. Thank you all for everything.